Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Kurt, and welcome back to Far Lands or Bust. Let us exit rather quickly the hidey hole from the previous night, secure the entrance, and continue on. Hello, Spoiler. Continue on in this episode 238 of Far Lands or Bust, a series well over 2 years in the making, where we are walking west to the far lands of Minecraft Beta 1.7.3 and raising money for Child's Play charity in the process. Get rid of that. Right now we are at $23,322.32. Been raised for Child's Play charity this season over at farlandsorbust.com. Now there was a tree back there. Okay, we need wood. I was about to make a boat, but wood is more essential, so I'll make a little bit of a detour to this forest that I see on the horizon. But yeah, we are at $23,322.32. A play on the numbers. At one point between last episode and this episode, we were at $23,232 and 32 cents, I think was that how it was? It was 2323232, which was very, very generous of the person who made that donation to make that happen. Very nice. And then recently we've had another person make it, so it's 2332232. An obsession with threes and twos amongst Farlanders. But yeah, that's great. I appreciate it. All that money goes directly to Child's Play charity. You could do that on the homepage, like I said, of farlandsorbust.com. Little donation widget right there, and you can watch the progress as we continue trying to raise $100,000 for the charity this season. On top of previous seasons, we've raised total over $100,000. Excuse me. Yes, well over 1,000, Kurt. 100,000. So that's great. I appreciate all the support, the outreach, and the support for both the series and, of course, the charity. Good times. Right, Wolfie? Woof. Good times. There we go. Yeah, so let's continue on. There we go. I just want to briefly mention, and I will, in my conclusion, tell you why, just briefly. It's been a rough week for news. Everywhere in the world, there's always bad things going on, but particularly in the United States, we obviously, earlier in the week, had the bombings at the Boston Marathon finish line. Just last night, there was a very tragic and destructive, what seems to be an accident at a fertilizer plant in Texas. Where at least possibly... Whoa, I fell in some water. Where at least... Oh, cheaty snow. Some people, a dozen or 24 people may have died, and terrible things. And like I said, things happen all over the world every single day, whether or not it be this week or previous weeks. It's terrible news, and obviously we try to do what we can to help and to... obviously support those people directly affected or even indirectly affected. But people want me, whenever something like this happens, people want me to comment on it. I suppose I can accept that perhaps, you guys, the reason why I get lists, I have a full notepad here full of questions from donators and commenters in the videos is for whatever reason. You value my opinion as somebody with somewhat of an audience here on YouTube, so you want to hear my thoughts. And what I'm going to say is, instead of giving my thoughts and going on a tangent about this stuff, I'm going to just ask that maybe give yourself a break from the news. Especially if there's nothing you can actively do right this moment to help either of these situations or another situation that maybe hasn't gotten quite the exposure on the news. If it doesn't directly affect you, not to say these things don't affect everybody, but if it doesn't directly affect you, it's basically I don't think our brains have evolved to the point where we're able to deal with the 24-hour news cycle that we are living in right now. And I was on Twitter, I was online at the time, and I saw the news about Boston breaking on Twitter long before many of the major news news sources picked up on it, and I was watching very intently. But there's got to be a point where you give yourself a break. I mean, constantly being surrounded by this unnecessary anxiety you're putting on yourself. You know, you're like I said in earlier episodes, the whole the human fear, anxiety response. If you're constantly surrounding yourself with this news and putting yourself in that situation, even if you're disconnected from it physically and literally, your body is going to get confused and end up in this constant state of anxiety. And like I said, we don't want to ignore these things or forget about these things, but it's best to just take a break. Play a video game, watch a YouTube video, hang out with your friends or family, and do something other than talk about the events and just enjoy each other's companies, have fun like that. I think that's something that's healthy. And like I said, I mean, maybe if you do want to give yourself some closure and help, obviously I think the news is that the blood banks in Boston have well more than enough stock than they need, and actually they're turning people away, so you can't help that way. Well, maybe donate blood in your local area. Even if there's no major tragedy going on, it's always helpful to donate blood, or maybe you just want to donate to the Red Cross or some other organization that helps out people in situations such as these, just to give yourself some closure, saying, okay, I did what I could do, let me get on with my day-to-day sort of, normalcy, I guess you could say. And yeah, that's instead of commenting a long spiel on it or giving updates about news or something like that, just maybe take a break. Step back, stop looking up stuff, stop looking at the pictures, stop, just give yourself a break. So that is what I'm suggesting for the time being, and Far Lands or Bust certainly is one of those breaks for me. I do this for fun. I enjoy, obviously we are doing something active. We're helping out Child's Play charity that does help kids in hospitals around the world. So careful, Wolfie. Oh gosh, don't be heading straight for that cactus. Have a seat, why don't you? I'm going to take care of business. But yeah, let's just have some fun in this silly little blocky world known as Minecraft, with a wolf that's wearing 3D glasses, of all things. Of all things. I think I could probably use a little bit more wool eventually, but I think we're well stocked up on supplies. So yeah, a lot of people have been asking for an update to the world save file, and I checked, and we just passed, between the last episode and this one, we just passed 7,000 megabytes of this Minecraft world save, which is crazy. Almost 7 gigabytes of a Minecraft world where we're just walking in one direction for the past 2 years. It's pretty great. That's fun stuff. I'm still working. I know it's taken a back seat, but I'm still on farlandsbus.com. There is a map. That one only goes up to the 292-202 monument after the 2nd season. We're in our 4th season now, so I've got to update that. But we're still, even with the previous season, dealing with a 5 gigabyte world or so. So that's taking a while, and that's something I'll work on. I keep saying that every 10 episodes or something. I'll work on that, but it's tough. It ain't easy being cheesy. Ooh. Spooky pre-made hidey hole door. Oh, I have an update. In the last episode, I mentioned a rocket launch. I was talking about NASA. There's a private company, very similar, a competitor, technically, I guess you could say, to SpaceX, who's vying to be a commercial partner with NASA to send payloads to the International Space Station. Orbital Sciences is the name of the company. I mentioned that on the 17th, their initial launch of their Antares rocket would be launching, and unfortunately, whoop, this one isn't unnecessarily high. Oh! Alright, let's get things in order. Let me go to sleep first, and I'll give you an update on the Antares rocket. It didn't launch. That's the too long to read version of it. But we'll talk about why it didn't launch and the rescheduled launch when we wake up. And awakeness. And rocket launchness. In diddly doodly. So yeah, the Orbital Sciences Antares launch was scrubbed. I was watching the live stream. At T-minus 12 minutes, they had what they called a premature disconnect of a data umbilical. You know, all those, you look at a rocket launch, there's all these cables and cords and hoses that connect to the rocket at various points that then, you know, upon launch, disconnect and fall away from the rocket. A lot of those are obviously for fuel. They constantly fuel the liquid hydrogen and oxygen, depending on how the rocket is fueled. But there's also data cables, instrumentation, computers, stuff like that are connected directly to the ground control before they switch over to the radio control. So one of those apparently disconnected prematurely, and they had to, just based on that, they had to scrub. Which happens, especially this being the maiden launch, I guess you could say. Even, I mean, you all remember, I went to the NASA social for what was supposed to be the first flight of the SpaceX Dragon capsule to the International Space Station, and I was sitting there some 2 or 3 miles away, right down to T-minus 1 second, T-minus half a second actually is what it was. The engine's lit, but then there was an anomaly in one of the engines and the computer shut it down and things got scrubbed and I didn't get to see the launch. So these things happen, especially with experimental rockets. Problems happen in the sequence of things, and they just have to fix that and turn around, and it looks like that they've apparently seemed like they're very confident that they've figured out what happened and they've fixed it, and they're going to try again tomorrow, Friday, April 19th, at 5 o'clock p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, which is 2100 GMT, I believe. And that will also be streaming live on NASA TV. If you want to check that out, that's nasa.gov/NTV. It's a Ustream feed. You can search it on Ustream or other places like that. I'm sure if I'm around, I'll be tweeting it and stuff like that. So if you want to watch the second launch attempt, that's the time to do it. This one is not going to the International Space Station. This is just a preliminary flight. They have a mock capsule, I guess you could say. Oh, I forgot what was the name of it. Cygnus? Is Cygnus the name of their capsule? But basically, they just have a dummy capsule. It's not a full capsule. It's not pressurized. It just simulates the weight and size of the capsule that they're going to set into orbit, just to say, you know, this is more of a test of their rocket, not necessarily of their getting to the space station situation. So yeah, looking forward to that. More improvements into the commercial aspects of spaceflight now, so good things indeed. I do have, like I said, a notepad full of questions from you guys. You've been asking me questions with your donations. You can leave a little comment. I'm still taking down comments from the comments of videos. I took a couple from the last video, and occasionally Twitter and Reddit, although it's honestly hard for me to keep up with those because so many other subjects go by. Woof! Wolfie knows. So let me answer some questions from donators. Danny from Germany asked, what do you think was the best Simpsons episode ever? I may have discussed this at one point, but as an overall episode, there are some episodes that have just parts that are classic or interesting. I mean, obviously there's as a personal favorite, the one where Homer went to space. Buzz Aldrin was on that one. That one has a few classic moments, like the potato chip scene. It's the origin of the "We welcome our new alien ants" or whatever Kent Brockman said overlords, so that's where that meme came from. But overall, I think as an entire package of an episode, I don't know the title of the episode, but the one with Hank Scorpio, where Homer gets a job and moves to work for Hank Scorpio. Just overall, the entire storyline of that, there are so many jokes in there that are just hilarious. It's probably my favorite full episode. I mean, other favorites of mine are when Homer eats the Guatemalan death chili pepper or something like that at the chili cook-off. And just that scene where he goes on the kind of psychedelic trip and he's through the desert and stuff like that. Just that was hilarious. I remember cracking up the first time I saw that. Careful, Luffy! Wow, that was a lot of damage. How did you do that? Stop, sit. I'm going to feed you pork chops in front of a pig. How cruel is that? Oh, he's fighting back, eh? How do you like these apples? How do you like them? Boink. All right, let's go. Nobody saw that. So yeah, a bunch of favorite episodes. And it's hard for me to remember, like, which are which. Oh, God, I glanced away at the screen and I was stuck on a block. But yeah, Simpsons. Get up on your Simpsons. I'm making all these Simpsons references in all my videos, and it disheartens me that some of you are so young that you don't know anything about it. Classic. Naked Trio asks, I know you don't have children. Thank goodness. But have you ever been babysitting? If yes, how was it? I have mentioned I do have a nephew, and I babysat him a couple times, and my own personal assessment of my own babysitting skills is I'm not very good around children in that I don't know, like some people get into children mode, like they become very, they talk to a child as a child, or kind of the kid voice, which I think is debatable on whether or not that is good, because then like, a kid would get stuck talking like that if everybody else is talking like that to them. Oh, am I going the right? Oh, that's a cloud. I thought that was the sun. I'm like, what? No, the sun is right there. We're fine. So I can't say I'm the greatest, but in terms of my nephew, if we do end up hanging out, or I end up having to watch him for a little bit at my house, he just wants to play Far Lands or Bust, so that's it's easy enough for me, even though I'm sure the parents don't like that. Video games. Careful, Wolfie, careful, Wolfie. Oh, how did you take damage, but I didn't? Really? Really? So yeah, that's kind of my experience. I don't think I am the first person you want in charge of a child's. So yeah, there we go. So yeah, thanks. Whoa. Thanks, Naked Trio and Danny from Germany, for your donations to Child's Play Charity, and also your questions. How am I doing for coal? Plenty of coal. I guess along the same lines, another donator, Eldor, asked, do you like Pokemon? If so, what's your favorite? I was just complaining about how people seem to not understand or get Simpsons references that I make. I will not get any Pokemon references that you guys may make, or even that other Mindcrackers make. I know some have made some references in videos, and I'm like, what the heck are they talking about? And then I end up getting comments, it's Pokemon, obviously. Where have you been? I've been 5 years too old for Pokemon. Oh, God, Wolfie. Are you alright? He's alright. I think. Oh, God. Yeah, he's alright. He's alright. Don't worry about it. I'll take some damage. Oh, no damage. Wolfie, there he is. Oh, gosh. Sorry. Sorry. That was... I end up pushing him off. Let's see if you could do one more. Just sorry. You're alright. You're alright. Why am I not taking damage when I take falls? That was a pretty decent fall. Anyway. Yeah, I'm not... I'm not... I'm too old. That was a generation after mine that got into Pokemon and stuff. So I do not know Pokemon. Sorry. So I guess maybe I shouldn't be so upset at the generational gap. Whoa, 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 Wolfie. Jeez, I hear skeletons. I feel like this entire beach is going to collapse underneath me. So yeah, but thank you, Eldor, for your question. And your donation to Child's Play charity, obviously. So, and I apologize for not understanding or knowing anything about your Pokemon friends or things. I don't even know what they are. No, Wolfie. Boop. And one more. Woof. Let's go to sleep. Maybe. Yep. And a Pokemon's nons. Pokemon's nons? Pokemon's nons. Sounds like some sort of transmittable disease. Oh. Yoink. Could always use these. Thank you for doing business, my pig friend. Woof. Let's go to a question from a YouTube comment. CNman234 asked, Kurt, what do you think about trains? I think that they are a swell mode of transportation for both goods and passengers, and have proven themselves responsible for the quick expansion of the Industrial Revolution from one part of the country to the other. No. What do you think about trains? Trains are fine. The last few times I've actually taken a train to around or to in and out of Chicago have been poor experiences, so I no longer take the train out of principle of convenience and keeping my blood pressure low. But trains are fine. I actually, when I was younger, I had set up a model train in the basement of my parents' house. It was actually my dad's, old model train set. Very old, when he was a kid. Very old, ancient. Oh, making fun of your parents' age. No, it was, his set, and set it up, and we actually had this huge plyboard table that we put together on top of another table in the basement, and I ended up, before they all closed, there used to be these things called hobby shops that had specialized in all train stuff, and model airplanes, model trains, and model rockets, and plastic, airplane and car models and things like that. But they've all, in my area at least, have shut down. And got little, houses and, additional cars and stuff like that. And then, where was I going with this? Got distracted! And yeah, we set it up. It was actually, what was it? It was a large scale, which I was always a little bit flustered by, because it meant that your towns and your buildings had to, your entire setup had to be a little bit restricted in terms of the size. Is it? I think it's O. There's different scales. Let me just say, there's different scales, gauges, I guess you could say, of model trains. I think it's O scale is what we had, which is pretty gigantic. Like, the train engine is about the size, I'm looking at my keyboard now, about the size of a standard keyboard from front to end. That's just the engine. And then each car behind that, obviously. Maybe a little bit smaller. Maybe the length of the actual keyboard part, maybe not including the keypad, or the number pad. Pretty large, and it had 3 tracks. The tracks had 3 rails. The middle one was the electric rail. that gave it power, obviously. There were different ones, like HO scale, I think, was a little bit more popular and a little bit smaller, and one that I wish I had. But yeah, I had that set up in the basement for quite a while. I was a little bit of a model train buff as a kid, I guess you could say. But it never really went, you know, you see some stuff and there's like mountains and trees and foliage and little people and cars with lights and stuff like that. It never went that far. It was still pretty much a large plank of plywood painted green so that it looked like grass, with a few houses, plastic houses set up around, and I think we may have painted gray for the roads also on top of the wood, so it certainly wasn't like a realistic, you see train models, or even in Chicago, you go to the Museum of Science and Industry, they have a very extensive model train set up there, like super extensive, and terrain and under the mountains and tunnels and things. No, none of that. It was basically the train went around in a circle. Basically, there was a couple switch tracks. What am I trying to do? Make a boat. I think at one point I got and upgraded and got a bridge. It's a little like overpass thing, so I was able to have a little bit of a dynamic hill that the train would get to go up and down every once in a while. But yeah, I was a train person indeed. So that is how I feel about trains. Indeed. Am I going? Yeah. Oof, okay. I keep getting disoriented as if I'm going the wrong way, but I am not. I am not. Let's see, another question. Lincoln Park 2206 from the comments asked, what was the worst game, video game I presume, you ever played? Wow, this is a tough one, actually. Worst game. I would probably say Battletoads, probably. It's one of those games, you know what I'm talking about, the third or so level, the jet bike level. I don't know anybody who ever got past that. And that's just ridiculous. And it set me up for a... Oops, sorry, Wolfie, where you at? There you are. For a long history of rage-quitting games that just had unnecessary random increases of difficulty, such as PID. PID is another one of those games that just, for no reason in my Let's Play, it was like the third episode, suddenly you were going along fine, a little difficult now and then, but suddenly this level is impossible for no reason. I'm sure well-made game, but yeah. And then right now, as you know, I'm a little bit out of sorts with the current Tomb Raider has succumbed to that as well, where it maybe a little bit easy, a few parts were challenging, but then all of a sudden, here's a level where 27 guys are coming at you at the same time, and they all have machine guns, and they're throwing bombs at you, and you just can't continue on unless you do this. So it's a mark, to me, it's a mark of poor game development to have inconsistent difficulties. I enjoy a challenge. I don't want things to be handed to me, obviously, but I think it should be a gradual increase in difficulty as a person gets on with the game. And especially, let me just say, especially in a game like Tomb Raider where the main purpose is the storyline. Obviously, why would you, the people want the storyline to continue to progress. Why would you give them a situation where it can stop? It would no longer progress because it's simply too frustrating and difficult to continue on, so... Let me try this. Careful, Wolfie! Oh god, oh my gosh. I'm gonna try it. I tried this in the last episode. Let me see if I can... Oh, maybe I don't need to use it at all. I was going to use the water bucket. Water bucket, ho! To see if it could prevent both myself and Wolfie from taking damage on the way down from a cliff. Oh gosh, that's not going to help Wolfie. Oh, yes it is. He just spawned down here. Well done, guy. where was I going? Yeah, it's to me a mark of, you know, I'm assuming, especially at a game where there's big teams working on the game, maybe it's a lack of cooperation or communication. You know, one guy's designing this level and the other one's designing the other levels, and they haven't communicated as to what the difficulty level should be consistent at, and just a mark of a bad game. You're going to have a bad time. I wouldn't put Tomb Raider, the current Tomb Raider, on the list of what is the worst game you've ever played. That has yet to be seen. They still have a chance to do that, but so far I was, let me say, having fun with that game. I am going to continue it. I just need some time, a break to heal my wounds and forgive it, maybe, and then I'll go back to it. So a little bit of a hiatus there from Tomb Raider. Trying to think of just a terrible game. You know, those games were just annoying, I guess you could say, at times. Well, I guess sun's going down. This is as good as any time. Bad game? I'm very much a believer in reading reviews and things, and being informed about my purchases. So if there were very terrible games, I probably just avoided purchasing them, to be honest. So I didn't get to experience them. Trying to think. I mean, obviously, Tomb Raider Angel of Darkness was pretty terrible. Oh god. Oh dear. Oh dear. But yeah, I can't think of any game that was just bad. Yeah. Sorry. But yeah, that kind of answers that question, I hope. Kind of went on a little bit of a rant about my thoughts on game development and consistency in game development and difficulty and dang kids, get off my lawn sort of thing. But what can we do? We can make a boat while we're at it. Woof. Wolfie agrees in the boat-making process. And then we can thank everybody for those questions and for those people who donated to Child's Play charity at farlandsofbus.com. Much appreciated. Please continue supporting them over there using, like I said, the widget, the donation widget tracker. You can donate through PayPal and with a credit card through PayPal. Funds go directly to Child's Play charity. Learn more about Child's Play charity at childsplaycharity.org. But until next time, thanks so much for watching. My name is Kurt. I will see you next time.